Hello everyone, this is CircuitPython meeting for Monday, May 5th, 2025. It's a time of the week where we get together to talk about all things CircuitPython. I'm Liz and I am sponsored by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython and a few other things. CircuitPython is a version of Python designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. CircuitPython development is primarily sponsored by Adafruit, so if you want to support Adafruit and CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from Adafruit.com. This meeting is hosted on the Adafruit Discord server. You can join anytime by going to adafruit.it/discord. We hold the meeting in the CircuitPython dev text channel and the CircuitPython voice channel. This meeting typically happens on Mondays at 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, except when it coincides with a U.S. holiday. In the notes doc, there's a link to a calendar you can view online or add to your favorite calendar app. We also send notifications about upcoming meetings via Discord. If you would like to receive these notifications, ask us to add you to the CircuitPythonistas Discord role. There is a shared notes document that accompanies the meeting and recording. You can contribute to this document beforehand. Final notes document includes timestamps to go along with the video, so you can use the doc to skip around and view the parts of the video that interest you most. Meeting tends to run around 30 to 60 minutes. After each meeting, we post a link to the next meeting's notes document to the CircuitPython dev channel on Adafruit Discord. Check the pinned messages to find the latest notes doc so you can add your notes for the following meeting. If you wish to participate but cannot attend, you can leave hug reports and status updates in the document for us to read during the meeting. This meeting is held in 5 parts. First part is community news, second part is state of CircuitPython, libraries, and Blinka, third part is hug reports, fourth part is status updates, fifth part is in the weeds, and that covers how the meeting will go. And so we will kick things off with community news. And this week's headlines: improving garbage collection time in CircuitPython. Garbage collection is a process where in-use memory is reclaimed for reuse. The Python language doesn't require the programmer to explicitly request and free memory, instead is tracked internally. However, the process to determine which memory is still in use can be slow and requires extra memory to track. CircuitPython developer Scott Shawcroft has developed an algorithm to quickly collect unused memory and return it to use, increasing speed and space. And he wrote up a blog post with some exciting graphs that you can check out for more details on this. And then CircuitPython 10 Alpha 3 is out. CircuitPython 10 Alpha 3 and alpha release for 10.0 is now out. Further features, changes, and bug fixes will be added before the final release of 10.0. Highlights of this release: a number of new audio effects, improved garbage collection times, as just stated, ESP-IDF update to 5.4.1, and improved audio playback on RP2. And then this week there is a new episode of the CircuitPython show. In the latest episode of the CircuitPython show, Paul welcomes Cooper Dalrymple, who was a recent guest on the audio effects panel discussion. Also a great episode. Cooper shares how he got started with electronics, his music background, what's next for CircuitPython's audio effects, and more. And then finally, Project of the Week, Synth.io tutorial. Todd Kurt has been documenting how to use the CircuitPython Synth.io module. Latest edition is on audio effects on GitHub. You can check that out for a lot of tips and tricks and code examples. Very handy. And these news items and more are available in our weekly Python for Microcontrollers newsletter, which goes out via email on Monday mornings. Visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe to the newsletter. Thanks to Anne for putting the newsletter together. If you have any Python on hardware projects to share or find content you'd like to see included, please consider contributing to the newsletter. You can email cpnews@adafruit.com with a link, hashtag CircuitPython, or tag an engineer on Blue Sky, Mastodon, or X, or open a PR on GitHub in the CircuitPython Weekly Newsletter repository. And that is community news. Next up is the state of CircuitPython, libraries, and Blinka. This is a quantitative overview of the entire project. It gives us a chance to look at the health of the project separate from our status updates. We'll talk about the project overall and then separately discuss the core, libraries, and Blinka. So first up, overall, 22 pull requests merged by 9 authors. There were 7 reviewers and 17 closed issues by 9 people, 5 opened by 5 people. And I will be reading the core today. There were 10 pull requests merged by 7 authors. Notable folks, Relic SE, Foamy Guy, Gambler, Tannewt, ADCC, and Supshik. And 4 reviewers, Tannewt, Dan Halpert, Relic SE, Gambler 21. Currently 17 open pull requests, 11 closed issues by 6 people, 1 opened by 1 person, 767 total open issues, 9 active milestones, looking at 10.0.0, 10.0.x, 10.x, and then new one, 11.0 and 9.2.x is current release. For libraries, there's 16 open issues, long-term, 635 open issues, support, 29 open issues, third-party, 16 open issues, and 0 issues not assigned a milestone, which means things are caught up and triaged, which is fantastic to see. Great job, team. And now we will hear about the libraries from Tim.
All right, thanks, Liz. This section covers all of the CircuitPython libraries. They are split into 2 different bundles, the Adafruit library bundle, which currently has 358 libraries in it, and the community library bundle, which has 163 libraries in it. That makes a total of 521 libraries supported by CircuitPython right now. There were 12 pull requests merged in the past week, and that is in the Adafruit bundle for those. Those 12 pull requests had 3 different authors. Thanks to Retired Wizard, Kasten, and myself for submitting pull requests this week for libraries. We had 4 reviewers for those pull requests. Thanks to Scott, Lady Ada, Tektrick, and myself for doing some reviews this week as well. Most of the pull requests merged this week were on the newer side of things. The oldest one was 23 days, and the newest ones were down at 1 day like usual. That leaves us with 49 pull requests that remain open. The oldest one of those is a draft at 991 days. The newest one is 1 day old. In terms of issues, I should say next, we had 6 issues closed by 3 different people. 1 new issue opened up by 1 person, and that leaves us right now with 714 open issues across all of the library repos. There are 3 of those right now that are labeled good first issues, which you can find listed out at circuitpython.org/contributing, which is the website where you should head if you would like to get involved in the CircuitPython project. When you first load that page, you will get a list of links that go over to open pull requests on GitHub. Those are looking for a person who wants to come along and review the PRs. Reviewing involves looking at the changes in the code, reviewing those changes, and then leaving a comment there on GitHub, letting us know what you found when you looked it over, if there's anything that looks out of place to you or anything that should be done different. You can include that information in the comment. If you happen to have the hardware that pull request is for, then it's also really nice if you can test out the code on the hardware and let us know in the comment how it went when you tried it out and like what versions of CircuitPython you used and everything like that. If you had any issues, let us know that as well. If you would like to get leveled up to leaving official reviews, instead of just making comments there on GitHub, we can work with you to make that happen. We have a team that we can add you to on GitHub so that you can leave official reviews if that's something you like to do. If you would like to get your hands dirty writing some of your own code as opposed to just reviewing code, on that same page, circuitpython.org/contributing, if you look along the top, there's some navigation links. If you click the issues link, it will take you to a similar looking page with a list of links that go over to GitHub. But the links on this page represent issues. They don't have a proposed change yet. They're waiting for a person to come along and actually submit a proposed change. It could be to fix a bug or add a new feature or add some new functionality or example or anything like that. And this is a great place to get started if you do want to get involved in CircuitPython. You can kind of look through that list of issues, find something that you either have some experience with or some knowledge of, or something that you have got the hardware for, if it's a driver library or something like that, and you have the sensor for it. You can click through to GitHub, read about the issue, figure out what it is, whether it's fixing the bug or adding a new feature or what have you, and then submit your own pull request to resolve that issue. We have a Learn Guide for contributing to CircuitPython using Git and GitHub. So if you need help with the process, we can point you to that. We also have folks who are around throughout the week on Discord who are more than happy to help you get going. So if you would like to review or submit your own changes and you're having trouble with any part of the process in GitHub or version control or the actions or pre-commit or anything else, just come say hi on Discord. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know what kind of trouble you're having, and we'll be happy to help you out. We want everyone to be able to contribute in whatever way works for you. In terms of library updates in the last 7 days, in the Adafruit bundle, there's now a new library for the Fruit Jam, which will cover the hardware that is built into that device when it gets released. The community bundle has now been updated with all of the display.io libraries from the CircuitPython org bundle, and then there were some updates this week in RGB display and PIO UART. So you can check out those things if you are interested. And that is it for libraries this week. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you, Tim. Now I will read about Blinka. Blinka is our compatibility layer for CircuitPython on single board computers like Raspberry Pi. And this week there were no new pull requests merged, but there are 31 open pull requests. There were 0 closed issues, but 3 new issues were opened by 3 different people. There are currently 158 open issues, and there are 146 supported boards. And that is the state of CircuitPython libraries and Blinka. Next up is Hug Reports. So Hug Reports is a chance to highlight folks in the CircuitPython community and beyond for doing awesome things. I'll start, and then we'll go down the list of Hug Reports alphabetically. If you're text only or are missing the meetings, I will read your notes when I get to them in the list. So I will kick things off with Hug Report for Toddbot, who I probably, while testing out his Synth.io examples, found an issue with the TLV 320 DAC library that I was able to do a PR for this morning, and he's going to test, so I appreciate that. That library is very huge, so as folks test it, I'm sure things will be found, so I appreciate all that. And then Group Hug. And now I'll hear from ADCC.
Thank you, Liz. I'd like to send a big hug out to James Fowler, who appeared and has been extremely helpful testing and giving feedback on ESP IDF 5.4.1. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. And now we'll hear from Tim.
All right. I have a hug report to NearDoc. Thanks to NearDoc this week for sharing a bytes storage library that makes it really convenient to store Python objects in various different places and retrieve them. And I also have a group hug for everyone. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Now I will read from Mark. He has a hug report for Tanu for fixing a weird audio bug, and Relic SE for more effects and good discussion on them. And now I will also read for Scott. A reciprocal hug to Mark for reviews, and then to JP, Relic SE, and Toddbot for finding the finalizer issue and testing the fix. And that is Hug Reports. Next up is Status Updates. Status Updates is our time to tell folks what we're up to individually. I will start and we'll go through the list of updates alphabetically. When I call on you, take a couple of minutes to talk about what you've been doing since the last meeting and what you'll be doing until the next meeting. If the discussion becomes too long for status updates, we can move it to In the Weeds. So I've been working on a CircuitPython powered 2-axis camera slider. And so that means that the camera can slide linearly to the left and right, and also it can pan left and right. So you can get 2 pieces of motion there. This is a collaboration with Noe, and the guide should be live this week. He's actually photographing as we speak to my right. And the slider uses 2 TMC 2209 stepper motor drivers that we have as breakouts in the shop, and they can be controlled via UART. So I put a lot of work into the menu system and 2 different operating modes for this project, so you can do time lapses and one-shot modes to get like these kind of like cinematic shots. And we've been using it to test with, and it's working really nicely. So I hope other folks build it, maybe add extra features to it and things. I'm really proud of this build. And I've also been working on my next robot instrument. It's built on a small kid's piano xylophone. They'll be played with solenoid motors. And this uses the new I2C, the 8-channel solenoid driver breakout that is essentially a small stemma version of the very large perma-proto circuits I put together for my original robot xylophone project back in 2020. And this makes the build solderless and a lot more accessible. So also excited about that. And that's it for me. So now we can hear from ADCC.
All right. Thank you, Liz. So I finally found the root cause of a Python interpreter crash we've been having with CircuitPython 10 Alpha 2 and up. on the ESP32 C3 and C6 parts. What it came down to was an interaction between garbage collection and GCC's RISC-V code generation. RISC-V code gen was partially materializing a pointer to compiled Python code, then calling garbage collection, and then finally completing materialization of the pointer. Because it was not fully materialized, garbage collection saw the memory allocated to the compiled Python code as free and reclaimed it. Subsequent execution of the code resulted in memory corruption and a crash. The problem was exacerbated by ESP-IDF 5.4.1, which included GCC 14.2.0 with more aggressive code optimization. And that's it for me.
Awesome, thank you. And now we'll hear from Foamy Guy.
All right, thanks, Liz. I moved the remaining CircuitPython.org libraries over into the community bundle. So we are done with the CircuitPython.org bundle. Everything's now in the community bundle. I also removed that CircuitPython.org as a choice from Cookie Cutter so that we will not get any new ones created that way. And while I was doing that, I had some actions issues when I tried to make the PR to Cookie Cutter, so I updated the versions of various utilities that it uses to make it happier. I also this week tested USB host with direct connection to I/O pins on Raspberry Pi Pico and Pico 2 using various different builds of CircuitPython that had different versions of Tiny USB and Pico PO USB, trying to help troubleshoot some of the work that is going on there to improve USB host. I finished up the bitmap tools implementation for Blinka Display IO and submitted the PR for that. So that is in now, and I'm excited to be able to start using it. I fixed an issue in the core with tile palette mapper due to some recent changes in memory allocation. It was causing unexpected behavior in there, and I figured out what was going on and submitted a fix for that. The new library that I mentioned a bit earlier was the next thing I worked on, Adafruit Fruit Jam library. Right now, the only thing really in this library is a function that helps you request a display config, which lets user code request a certain size of the display and also ensure that the display is initialized because it could get released by another code file, for instance. So we want to make sure that you actually have it before you start using it. And then the bulk of the rest of my work this week was on FruitJam OS stuff. I implemented pagination for the launcher icons, so we can have more than one page of apps now. I adapted the editor code from an older project from a couple years back to work with a terminal instance instead of using stdout. And I integrated that into the launcher so that you can go back and forth between the launcher and the code editor now. Added some additional features to that editor, some hotkeys for mounting the drive as writable, for running the code file that you're looking at, and for saving without exiting. There was previously a save and exit, but no save and continue, so now there's that as well. And then also in the editor, I have used the system of sort of mocked argv files to kind of create some inputs to the code, and these are used by the editor to tell it which file to open. I also refactored the boot animation into its own file and made use of that same argv file system thing inside of BootPy and the launcher CodePy in order to let those be able to skip and launch other files, like for instance, to be able to launch back into the editor after mounting as writable without having to wait through the animation in the desktop again. And that is what I've been up to. So I think that's all I've got for this week. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Excited about the Fruit Jam launcher. Now I will read for Mark. He says, given a few absences at the moment, if anyone needs reviews done, feel free to tag me on the PR. I'll do my best to look during evenings and weekends. Thank you, Mark. And then I'll wrap things up by reading for Scott. He is working as the baby sleeps about 2 hours a day. He fixed a finalizer issue, and he tried doing 2 releases, but the release script is failing, and that is his priority. He's also working on IMX missing pins. And that is going to wrap up status updates. And I also don't see any in the weeds topics, so unless anyone objects, I will go ahead and wrap things up. And this has been CircuitPython Weekly for Monday, May 5th, 2025. Thank you to everyone who participated. If you want to support Adafruit and CircuitPython and those of us that work on CircuitPython, consider purchasing from the Adafruit shop at adafruit.com. Video of this meeting will be released on YouTube at youtube.com/Adafruit, and the podcast will be available on major podcast services. It'll also be featured in the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter. Visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe. Next meeting will be held next Monday, as usual, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. This meeting is held on the Adafruit Discord, which you can join by going to adafruit.it/discord. Be notified about the meeting and any changes to the time or day. You can ask to be added to the CircuitPython Nisa's role on Discord. We hope to see you all next week. Thanks, everyone.